So here's an update in the wheel well. So clean the wheel well. There is still a little bit of dirt to deal with. Taking out the CV shafts, the struts, the spindles, and all that. So I'm gonna have to sand all this down a little bit, prime it, convert all the rust, and give it a coat of paint. Dealing with the transmission, I gotta replace the clutch. Put a aftermarket stronger clutch in there. Try to hold some more power. So, kind of an update of what's happened. Taking out the air cleaner that sits in here. You know, the blow-off valve, the Y pipe. The battery tray had to come out. The windshield washer fluid came out. And that's about it. All the parts sitting in a box. Try to keep them separated in boxes. One thing with buying parts online, you get no shortage of boxes. So, what I came across, which I didn't think of when I started, I was going to drop the tranny completely right out. But you can see right down there, that's the clutch. It's got a hydraulic line on it, and if I take that off, I gotta bleed the whole system again. And although it's not a big deal, it is a pain in the ass. And so I gotta contemplate whether I want to drop the tranny out completely or just slide it over and replace the clutch. So I'm taking the tranny out. Thought about it. To do it right, gotta take it out. So it's not out yet. I have undone it. I have undone the bolts. So what has to come out, you can't really see it. There's a clutch line back there that has to come out. There's a bolt right above it. There's another bolt here. There's a bolt here, which was a pain in the ass. I had to take, these vacuum lines are right in the way. So I had to undo this bolt. There's a bolt at the front and I had to take it off the wastegate. So I had enough play to be able to get in there to get the bolt. And there's a bolt down there. Somewhere in there. And then had to take the engine mount out. So one bolt you can get to, but you got to actually take the engine mount apart. And you get to those holes there, hold the engine mount. So, sorry for the quick speed, but there's the one mount, and then there's the other half of the mount. So that's where we're at now. Now I'm about to drop it. I have drained all the oil and undid the bolts underneath. So we'll see what happens. So you can see I got the tranny out. Everything's out. Started to clean down below. Got the intake, upper intake off. I have to do the 60K maintenance. And I'll be putting 99 lifters in it. Stop the clicking noise. Apparently that helps it. And I paint the valve cover, clean all this up, redo everything. Put bigger injectors in. You see these are brown top Mitsubishi injectors. I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see it. Quite a bit of carbon buildup in the intake. There's lots in the upper plenum, so I'll get that all cleaned up. You can see that's in there. So I took the EGR valve off. I took the rear cat out. That was a pain in the ass. Mainly I got held up by the exhaust shield. I just couldn't squeeze it out of there without wanting to do too much damage. And finally, I just reefed on it and it squeezed out. So this is underneath the car. So tranny sits right there just to give you an idea where we're at. sway bar is taken out now. Still got to clean a bit under here. You can see the rack. I've taken the bracket. The bracket sits, right there. Taking it out so I can drop it, so I can kind of clean all in the wall there. There's some corrosion on the lines, especially on the rear steer. So there's the rear steer. I'm not deleting the rear steer. The car is probably going to be more valuable with it on later on. People think, even though it's controversial whether it's a gimmick or not, but it does add to the complexity of this car in '94. So I'm going to leave it on there. I haven't pulled out the drive shaft yet. Started, you see there, taking the undercoating off. It does come off, but you can see there's a lot of it. Remember, this is a Canadian car, so most of our cars up there get undercoated. So it's gonna be a big job, so I'll have to decide if I want to tackle that or not. But it would be really nice to have it all nice, shiny looking black like the top side. That'd go a long way. So that's about it. Just to take a look, the underside, if you haven't seen under here. There's the turbo, exhaust, the AC. There's the oil cooler, or the oil filter with the cooler kind of all around it. You can see it's pretty dirty up in there. So it looks like it was leaking out this oil return line for the on both sides for the turbo. And then to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like underneath the turbo. Turbo sits on top of here and comes back around. So, more taken apart. So the downpipe's taken off. The AC pump is moved out of the way. There's a bracket that sits right there, kind of right there in the middle. There's another bracket that is zinc coated. It sits on the engine and goes right there on that bolt there. There's another bracket that sits right there with the 3 bolts that goes to the downpipe. Yeah, the alternator's out. Pretty straightforward. That's the bracket that sits and holds the AC pump and the idler pulley, or adjustment pulley, I guess, which is all in trusty Ziploc bag, the alternator. So I started painting the engine block. Again, just a quick little paint just to clean it up. That's semi-gloss black. You can see I did have this engine mount out to paint behind it. And when I'm ready to paint this section here, I'll take this off. But right now it's supporting the engine. Another little tidbit. Use aluminum foil. I learned this from an industrial painter. You can tape all this stuff off, but it will take forever to tape it and hard to get off. This aluminum foil will just peel right off. Super easy. So I rocker coated inside the wheel wells. I had to strip all the old stuff off. There's some compatibility issues, and then clean it all. Now it all looks good. It's a pretty durable surface. This is the color. I haven't painted it. I'll paint it gloss black, so it kind of matches the body. So it's almost like you've painted inside the wheel wells as well. I'm gonna have to repaint all this. I'll sand it all down, scuff it all up,